Okay. Well, I'm going to make some predictions. I already made these earlier, but I'm going to make them again. I'm going to go get a hot water heater anode rod. My hot water heater is 20 years old. I had a little bit of problem with the rusty water in the toilet. It's not real bad, but I went to the True Value, and the guy there said his wells only last about 7 years, that it's real prevalent out here. My well's 20 years old. It might be older than that. I think it's 21 years old. So I've done pretty well. He said he's had to put 3 new wells in like 20 or 21 years, or the amount of time that I've had mine. I live here alone though, so he might have a whole family. But he said that it's prevalent. It's actually a iron, like, bacteria. That's what it is. But people just kind of call it iron out here. That it's just iron buildup. But it's actually a bacteria that gets into the well. And I guess it eventually ruins it. There's ways to mitigate it and stuff, but it's kind of it makes it aged. Well, I'm going to make my predictions. I'm predicting that the war in Ukraine is going to end this spring, March, April, which is good news. That something will be worked out between Ukraine, and I knew about this, and I already made the prediction, but I didn't put the video on. Also, people are going to wonder why aren't we, when this thing came out about all the rotten things people are doing, politicians and famous people, and Cryon's talked about this, particularly with the babies and stuff, the really weird stuff. So the question is, are we going to arrest all these people? Is there going to be some kind of because these people run the country, many of them. Are these people going to be arrested? And I think there might be some arrests, but there's not going to be any mass arrests. I'm not predicting any mass arrests because it's if you arrest them, the system is broken. Arresting them may not really remedy the problem, and hanging them is not going to remedy the problem. What's going to happen is the people are going to be told, we know who you are. Maybe they'll just know in their hearts that we know, or maybe they'll be approached quietly. God doesn't seem to act in the way we do. And I don't know whether God's doing this, or if it's ETs, or if it's just people in power. Some of these people are just going to simply die off. They're not going to be killed. They're just going to die of old age. And that's going to take a long time to do. Okay, some of them are just going to resign. They're going to realize they've lost the game, and they're going to resign. And then some of them are going to be told, or they're going to realize they got your number, they know what you're doing, and they're going to bow out gracefully. They're going to be offered a graceful way to bow out. And what's happening is these people are in our corporations, they're in our churches, they're everywhere. They're in all kinds of positions of power. And to just remove them and hang them all would paralyze our society. It would do more damage to us. In other words, sometimes getting even with them or giving them their just desserts is not the answer. It's not going to happen that way whether we think it's the answer or not. So we're not going to see mass arrests. But we are going to see just slow, quiet change. But it's going to be good. And yes, it's going to take a while to do. It's going to take a while to take effect. And some of it we won't even know happened. Like, for example, CEOs will just leave. And it's already started happening. That's what I'm saying. And we don't even know about it. And what's going to happen is society is just going to start to gradually change. In other words, we're not going to see a bunch of people put out in public and said, you're doing this and that, you're breaking this and that law. That's not going to happen. I mean, it might happen to a few people, but we're not going to have this mass exposure where everybody ends up in court and they get hung for their crimes. It's not going to happen. I mean, there will be some people that maybe will be tried for crimes. But that's not what we're heading for. It's not not our goal. Our goal isn't to get retribution against these people. In other words, retribution, it's not going to do us any good. So if you cut off their head for doing one or another thing wrong, it's not going to undo the crime. It's not going to undo the horrible things they did. It's just going to cut their head off. And cutting their head off does not really do you and I any good. When they go to the next world, they're going to deal with not divine justice. They're going to see what they did wrong. And maybe in their next life, they will expiate for it in some way, because they'll want to. And some of them may not be able to come back to Earth in their next reincarnation. They might, and if they do come, they might not be in a very high position. It's hard to say. But God is not a punishing God. He's not going to put these people in a lake of fire and torture them or anything like that. Perhaps they'll torture themselves. There's going to be a lot of changes. There's a new order coming, a new economic order that's already waiting in the wings. It's kind of like you're on a bad road and there's another road being built next to you, and they're going to put all the traffic onto the other road, and it's going to be gradual. You got to get the road finished, and then they're going to put you all on that road, and then the other road will just be still be there, but it won't be used as much. It's going to be a gradual shift. It's not going to be a revolution. Now, there are some places where they'll have revolutions, but I don't think they're going to be as many revolutions as we think. I think there's just going to be a lot of this slow transition. And I mean slow by, some of this might take 4 years to happen. But yeah, it could be longer. But it's going to be good. It's going to be, people are going to, if they're not watching, they might say, well, where's the change you were talking about? Well, the first change is going to happen with the end of this Ukraine war. The war's going to end. They're going to work out an agreement. Russia and the United States are going to work on an agreement to end it. And what it is the elites in older times, they would have fought Russia. And now they're realizing that they cannot, that the way we think and our spiritual thoughts and the way we're reacting, they know that we don't like what's going on. And so we're actually, by how we vote, they can see how we feel, they know how we're reacting. Some people are maybe against the Ukraine war, and they realize, okay, what we've been doing is not working anymore. We're going to have to do something different. So in other words, I guess what I'm saying is the elites aren't going to just be thrown out of power. Some of them are going to die. Some of them will just leave. They'll resign office, but they're not going to just all quit at once. What's going to happen is they're going to realize, okay, we can't get away with this. We're going to have to change the way we do things. And so we're going to see changes. And yeah, some new people may come in and they'll affect change too. Yeah, I still do predict that China will have a change in government, and that Iran will. Now, we may not actually be at that change. It might not come for another year or something, or it might be further off in the future even from then. But it will be within the next 4 to 5 years, I think. Those two revolutions, I say, are still coming. I don't know if the Iran revolution was successful, I guess is what I'm saying. That it may not